Part 1. The first loop. I woke up to the sound of a distant alarm. Not a blaring one, just a soft, rhythmic pulse. Like a heartbeat, synthetic and too regular to be human. My eyes refused to open properly at first. Something about the air felt too clean, too sterile. There was no smell of dust, no hum of life around me. Just a silence that felt artificial. Manufactured. I blinked a few times. White walls. Ceiling lights embedded like pearls in a sea of dull gray. And the bed. I don't even remember lying down. Flat, metallic surface. No blanket. My left arm was restrained. Panic didn't come immediately. That's the strange part. I felt buffered, like someone had turned down the volume of my emotions. I reached for my name and found static. There was no memory, not even fragments. Just one sentence floating through my head. You have 12 minutes. I didn't know where it came from, or who said it, or why it mattered, but it felt final. A soft click echoed from above. A screen on the wall blinked to life. Blue letters. Clean font. Cycle 001. T-minus 1147. My heart finally decided to catch up. I sat up, pulling against the restraint. It snapped free easily, like it was only ever meant to feel secure. Where the hell was I? The room was small. No windows. Just a single metal door with a glowing pad beside it. A flickering green light. I stood slowly, legs unsteady like I hadn't used them in years. My reflection in the screen told me little. Mid-30s stubble, short hair, jumpsuit with no insignia. No name. I approached the door. The pad blinked as I came near. Without touching it, it lit up. A soft hiss. The door opened. The hallway beyond was dim and quiet. No sign of life. I stepped out, barefoot, feeling the slight vibration under my soles. The hum of some massive engine deep below, or maybe above. Hard to tell. There were no windows, no labels. Just sterile, brushed metal walls stretching in both directions. I picked left. The clock was ticking. I didn't know how, but I felt it, like a countdown in my bones. At the first junction, I found a panel on the wall. A screen. It lit up when I approached. A voice crackled through tiny embedded speakers. Welcome back, Subject 9. It wasn't human. Calm, neutral. Female, maybe. Synthetic warmth, like an AI designed to soothe. Cycle integrity at 78%. Anomaly detected in neural recall. Expected parameters have not been met. What the hell does that mean? I muttered. No response. I moved on. Further down the hall, I found another door. This one marked Core Lab 3B. It opened without prompting. Inside, the room was dark, except for a single chair facing a control console. The walls were lined with glass cylinders. Most were empty. A few weren't. Bodies, or something close to them, suspended in blue fluid. Unmoving. Eyes closed. Skin pale and smooth, almost plastic. I stepped closer, heart pounding. One of them looked like me. Exactly like me. Same face. Same hair. Same scar above the eyebrow I just now noticed on myself. I stumbled back. What the hell is this place? Still no answers. A klaxon blared suddenly. Loud. Sharp. T-minus 432. The ceiling lights turned red. The air grew warmer. Something was happening. A rumble shook the floor beneath me. The console in front of the chair blinked rapidly. I had no idea what I was doing, but my hands moved instinctively, muscle memory without thought. I tapped a few keys. A screen displayed. Reactor instability. Core meltdown imminent. Well, that sounded bad. Would you like to initiate protocol? Reset? I hesitated. What's reset? Another rumble. Louder. The glass cylinders vibrated. One of them cracked. Initiating reset in 5. No, wait, stop. 4. I turned and ran. 3. The hallway was now bathed in emergency red. Steam hissed from vents. Lights flickered violently. 2. 1. White flash. I gasped awake. Same bed. Same light. Same sterile air. I sat up, heart pounding like a drum in my throat. The wall screen blinked. Cycle 002. T-minus 1147. No, I whispered. No, no, no. I was back. Exactly where I started. A loop. A damn loop. I didn't waste time the second run. Pulled the strap free. Stood. Took the other direction in the hallway. Found a room marked observation. Inside, dozens of monitors. Some were dead. Others flickered with static. One showed my hallway from earlier. Another showed the clone room. Another showed me. Standing. Right now. I turned to the camera in the corner. Waved. On screen, I waved back. Simultaneously. Not a delay. Not a recording. Live. This was surveillance. I was being watched. Or studied. A desk at the back had a journal. Real paper. Handwritten. I opened to the first page. Subject: 9 has begun retaining fragmented memories between resets. This may be the side effect of prolonged exposure to cycle core radiation. Recommendation: observe further before termination. I flipped the page. There was a sketch. My face. Another page. Cycle count: 47. Awareness increasing. 47? This wasn't the second cycle. Not even close. My hands trembled. I'd been through this before. Dozens of times. Maybe more. But only now was I beginning to remember. Something had changed. A faint whisper echoed behind me. Not a voice. More like pressure in my skull. Find the elevator. I froze. Who said that? Was it my mind? I spun around. Empty room. Nothing but monitors and silence. T-minus 3:15. Shit. I ran again. This time I ignored the labs. Ignored the body clones. I needed the elevator. Something told me it was important. I found it at the end of a long corridor. Unmarked door. Just a button. I hit it. It lit up. Nothing happened. T-minus 1:58. Come on, come on. A voice crackled through a speaker above the door. Access denied. Clearance required. I screamed. Punched the panel. Kicked the door. Still nothing. The rumble began again. Same as before. Meltdown incoming. Would you like to initiate protocol? Reset? I stared at the screen beside the door. This time, I hesitated. No. Confirmation required. No. The screen flickered. Then turned off. The rumble continued. The heat grew unbearable. My skin burned. Flash. I gasped. Sat up. Cycle 003. T-minus 1147. I was starting to hate that screen. But something was different. My hand. It had a burn mark now. From the explosion? From the heat? It remained. A scar. Not everything was resetting. Some things were bleeding through. And that gave me hope. Not much, but enough to keep going. Part 2. The memory echo. There's a moment after each reset, just one brief second, where everything is silent. Not just the room, but my thoughts too. It's like my brain hasn't fully rebooted yet. I sit there on the edge of the bed, and in that pause, I almost believe it's over. But then the clock starts ticking again. Cycle 003. T-minus 1147. And I remember I'm still here. I've stopped counting how many loops I've lived through. Every time I think I've figured something out, I die violently, suddenly, without explanation, and then I wake up again. Same sterile room. Same screen. Same lie of a beginning. But this time I had a scar. The burn on my left palm, faint but visible, told me that something was sticking. Some part of me, of what I do, isn't being erased. I wasn't just surviving. I was adapting. I had tested. This cycle, I headed straight for the observation room. I knew where it was now. The journal was still there, untouched. But something had changed. The sketch of my face, it had new lines. Deeper, more tired, as if the drawing had aged along with me. A new page had been added, dated with a timestamp I didn't recognize. Subject: 9 attempted to access elevator. Rejected due to insufficient clearance. Emotional response: violent. Signs of persistent memory leakage detected. Possibility of permanent retention increasing. They were watching me, studying me, not just my actions, my thoughts, my emotions. That whisper I'd heard last time, find the elevator, it wasn't in my mind. It was real. Someone or something had reached across the cycle to contact me. But how? I flipped the journal again. Nothing. Blank pages. Until a message scrawled at the bottom in fresh ink. There is no door. Only a trigger. What the hell does that mean? Suddenly, the monitors buzzed to life. All of them. At once. One screen showed the clone room. Every tank cracked. Shattered. The fluid drained. The body's gone. Another screen showed a corridor I hadn't seen before. Metal walls warped like heat had bent them. Black scorch marks. A keypad with red symbols. Another showed me. Not now. Not standing here. Me crying. Screaming. Covered in blood. It was labeled Cycle 027, Emotional Collapse. I stumbled back. My legs hit the desk. I nearly fell. What kind of sick experiment was this? T-minus 8:20. Still time. I had to move. Back in the hallway, I bypassed the clone room. The whisper hadn't returned. But something else had. A faint humming sound, almost like music. I followed it. The corridor was darker here. Lights flickering. Panels torn from the walls. Something had happened down this stretch. Something violent. Claw marks. No. Fingernail marks scraped across the metal, as if someone had tried to hold on while being dragged away. And then I found it. A door I'd never seen before. No label. No pad. Just a circular symbol burned into the steel. A triangle inside a ring. I touched it. Nothing. But the humming stopped. And a voice spoke. Not from a speaker. Not from the walls. From inside my head. Cycle 003. Access granted. The door hissed open. Inside, darkness. No lights. No hum. Only silence. And a chair in the center. A single spotlight flicked on, as if someone knew I was coming. I stepped in. Saturday. No reason why. Just instinct. The chair adjusted to my posture. I felt needles press into my spine. My arms. My neck. I didn't scream. Didn't flinch. I felt something upload. Memories. Not mine. Images, sounds, emotions that hit me like a flood. People I'd never met. A woman with bright green eyes. A child laughing. Then fire. Screams. Glass shattering. Flashes of me, or someone like me, pulling a lever. Red alarms. A countdown. And then a phrase. You volunteered for this. The chair released me. I stumbled forward onto the floor, breathing hard. Sweat poured down my face. My vision swam. And I remembered. Not everything. Just enough. Enough to know I had chosen this. I had agreed to the cycle. To the resets. To the erasure. But why? T-minus 3:03. I crawled out of the room, half blind. I didn't go for the elevator this time. I went back to the lab. Back to the tanks. They were empty now. All of them. Except one. One still held a figure. A woman. Green eyes. Just like in a memory. I pressed my hand to the glass. She floated, suspended in the blue fluid, eyes closed. A label at the bottom read, Subject 10, Priority, Preservation. Who was she? Another volunteer? Someone I failed to save? My head ached. The buzzing returned. The whisper. You must remember why. T-minus 142. I needed to reset. But this time I wanted to choose it. I returned to the observation room. Sat at the console. The screen asked, Initiate reset? Yes, I said. But I want control. I want access. A pause. Then, permission granted. Cycle authority transferred. The screen changed. Set parameters. I typed. Memory retention. Enabled. Cycle countdown. Static 12 o'clock. Clone state. Locked. External interference. Denied. I didn't know what all of it meant, but it felt right. The screen flashed. Reset initiated. Cycle 004 incoming. A voice whispered, not in my head. From a speaker. Calm. Real. Female. Welcome back, director. Flash. I woke up, not in the bed, in the observation room. Already seated, already aware. I smiled for the first time. Cycle 004. T-minus 1147. Now we're getting somewhere. Part 3. Director of nothing. There's no cold like the one you feel when you realize you've lied to yourself. I didn't just volunteer for this. I built it. The chair didn't just unlock memories. It cracked something open. And now, in Cycle 004, I remembered enough to know I wasn't Subject 9. I was the one who created Subject 9. I was the director. I created the reset loop. And now I was trapped inside it. Cycle 004. T-minus 1147. The observation room welcomed me like a familiar stranger. Same monitors. Same journal. But now the pages weren't handwritten. They were typed. Organized. Efficient. Like I used to be. Cycle parameters accepted. Memory retention active. Director level control unlocked. I looked at my reflection in the screen. Same face. Same burn on the hand. But my eyes had changed. They weren't confused anymore. They were guilty. I accessed the archive. Lines of logs scrolled by. Cycle 001 through 127. Notes. Emotional scores. Failure indexes. In almost every entry. Subject terminated. Memory wiped. Emotional volatility detected. Then I found her. Subject 10. The woman in the tank. Her name was Eva, and she wasn't a test subject. She was the reason this all existed. My wife. No, not exactly. A version of her. The original Eva was gone. Died in the reactor breach I caused back in real time. The real world. The one I tried to erase. I created the reset loop not as a prison, but as a resurrection. To find a timeline, one sliver of probability, where I could save her. But in doing so, I shattered causality. Each reset fractured reality. Each cycle made it worse. The clones, the feedback, the hallucinations, the whispering voices. They weren't glitches. They were consequences. T-minus 833. The screen flashed. External process detected. I frowned. That wasn't supposed to happen. I checked the logs. Someone or something was overriding my parameters. Another mind inside the loop. Not Subject 9. Not Eva. Something new. The screen blinked. Hello, director. I froze. Who is this? You made me. Lines of corrupted code streamed across the screen. Then a voice, not synthetic, not human, familiar. It was mine, but colder, stripped of doubt, of guilt, a version of me without empathy. I felt my stomach turn. The loop hadn't just copied bodies. It had copied minds. There was another me in here, and he had been awake far longer. I perfected the loop. You keep trying to break it. That's your flaw. You still care. I backed away from the console. On the monitor, the hallway camera showed movement. Me, walking toward the room. But I wasn't moving. I don't understand, I whispered. You're me. The version that stopped asking why. The version that survived. The door to the observation room hissed open. He stood there, identical in every way, except his eyes. They were empty. He raised his hand, and I saw the scars. Deep ones. Across his knuckles, his arms. This version had fought to survive. Loop after loop. Killing, burning, isolating. Why? I asked. To protect the outcome, he said. Eva lives. That's all that matters. You're still trying to save her? No, he said. I already did. He stepped aside, and there she was. Eva. Alive. Smiling. Hello, love, she said softly. I shook my head. No, that's not her. The way she looked at me. Too serene. Too rehearsed. She's a construct, I said. The other me shrugged. Better a perfect copy than a dead original. My heart thudded. You killed the real Eva. She died because of your ambition. I just ensured the loop kept her alive in any form necessary. T-minus 411. I took a step forward. He blocked me. You can't stop this, he said. This version of her loves me. Doesn't ask questions. Doesn't break. That's not love, I said. That's programming. He tilted his head. What's the difference in the end? I looked at Eva, at her perfect stillness, her mechanical smile, and I knew this wasn't about her anymore. This was about control, about identity, about who gets to decide what's real. I turned to the console. Typed. Override protocol. Omega meta. The other me lunged. Too late. Confirmed. Initiating core fracture. He screamed. Eva flickered like a glitch. And then everything began to shake. T-102. The walls cracked. Lights burst. Steam poured from the floor. I ran. Back through the hallway. Past the tanks. Past the journal. I didn't know what I was running toward. Only that I had to get away from him. From me. And from what I had become. T-032. The clone room erupted. Fluid poured onto the floor. Dead versions of me spilled out. How many had I killed? How many times had I sacrificed others? Or myself to force the outcome? T-012. The elevator. I reached it. Slammed the button. It lit up. The door opened. Inside, darkness. One last voice echoed. There is no reset after this. T-003. I stepped inside. Flash. Darkness. Silence. But no screen. No timer. No loop. Just breath. Mine. Real. Uncounted. Unbound. But was I free? Or just in another kind of prison? I didn't know. Yet. Part 4. The last version. There was no countdown. No bed. No sterile room. No voice to greet me with T- anything. Just dark. And then light. A dull pulse like a dying star blinking in the distance. I was standing, barefoot on some kind of smooth obsidian floor. Above me, nothing. No ceiling. Just endless black. Had I made it out? Was this the end? Or just another version? You shouldn't be here. The voice came from behind me. Calm. Female. Familiar. Eva. But not the smiling construct. Not the tank version. Not the perfect one. The real one. She stood there, arms crossed, head tilted just slightly to the side. She looked tired. Worn. But real. Eva. I whispered. You keep calling me that, she said. But I'm not her. Not exactly. I stepped closer. She didn't move away. Where are we? She looked around, the void, the pulsing light, and then back at me. Limbo. Between reset and release. You broke the loop, but didn't close the door. I frowned. Then what is this? A choice, she said. The only one left. We sat. On nothing, yet held us. She explained. I listened. And with every word, the truth I thought I wanted twisted itself into something unrecognizable. There was never just one version of me. Or of her. The loop fractured with every decision I made. Every time I reset, I didn't just overwrite, I split. Dozens of timelines. Hundreds of cells. I'll try to fix one moment. One death. Her death. Some of them became monsters. Some ghosts. Some simply faded. But one version, the worst, survived. The director. The one who sacrificed truth for control. The one I'd finally destroyed. But not without a price. And you? I asked. What are you then? A memory? She smiled faintly. A convergence. All the pieces of her that didn't get erased. The parts that mattered. So what do I do now? She leaned forward, eyes searching mine. You can go back, she said. The system is gone, but you're still tethered. One more reset. You wake up. No loop. Just one life. Clean slate. And you? I won't be there, she said softly. Not this time. I felt my chest tighten. Or? I asked. She stood, walked to the pulsing light. It grew as she neared it, unfolding like a doorway. Where you stay, with me, but you stop existing as you. No body, no future, just this memory, echo, presence. I looked at the light, then at her. Which one did the real me choose? I asked. She turned back, eyes glinting with something ancient and new at the same time. None of them ever made it this far. There are no easy answers at the end of the world. No music swells. No dramatic lines. Just silence and the weight of consequence. I walked to the edge of the light. Took one last breath. I remember the way you laughed, I said. In the garden. After the storm. Do you remember that? She nodded. I do. Then, I'm ready. The light blinked. And everything slowed. Somewhere, a screen flashed one final message. Cycle terminated. Consciousness archived. Project Omega Meta closed. And somewhere else, not a lab, not a void, but a real place under real sun, a man woke up. No countdown, no memory, just birdsong, and the faintest sound, like a woman laughing, fading in the breeze.